have with us today John McCue from Reverse Market Insight. It's a good day, everyone. We're here, we're together. If you woke up today and you were breathing, you have a reason to be grateful. So I'm trying a new practice. When I wake up in the morning, I'm trying to find 5 things immediately to be grateful for. But the breathing part and waking up part is always at the top of the list. So thank you so much for joining us. And this is the season really for all of us to be really queuing up our business plans and really sharpening our tools. The proverb of the lumberjack out in the woods is out there just swinging the axe. If they don't stop and sharpen it every now and then, they're going to become less effective and have to exert more energy to get the same results. So today, our goal is to really equip you for increased success in what is really a different kind of world today. And so thank you. John, did you want to say anything as we get ready to queue up the slides?
I'd just like to thank everyone for attending today. I'm really looking forward to this. I think 2021 is going to be a great year. So hopefully you guys can take away some of this to apply to your businesses coming into the new year here.
Thank you, John, and thank you, my friend Brett, for your kind comment this morning, and a shout out to Dana in Palm Springs. Just to let you know, we are going to be doing this in a listen-only mode, so don't worry if there's noise in the background. We got you covered, but we will, and we want to hear from you. We're going to be doing a Q&A as well, so that will be where you're going to use your GoToWebinar control panel. It should be on your screen, and you can type that in, and we will get to those questions. So during the presentation, we're not going to be able to obviously look at those questions and present at the same time, but we will get to them at the appointed time. In addition, if you are like me and you have to be, hear things repetitively to really have them soak in, we will be providing a complete replay of today's session. We'll be sending you an email for that. So give us about an hour or two or more. But if you don't receive it by the end of the workday, let us know, but you should be receiving that as well. Also want to apologize in advance. It's December, but it's allergy season. So if I do sneeze occasionally here and there, and if my cheeks seem especially rosy, it seems suitable for the holiday season, but I want to thank you for your indulgence there. So today we've got a lot to cover, and we're going to really equip. We've been saying a long time, I've been saying it, and some in the media, that, hey, we're going to have a second wave. And guess what? The second wave is here. I highly doubt if any of you are meeting with an older homeowner in person. I certainly hope that you're not, unless there's a glass wall between you. So learning and mastering the art of remote sales is really going to be key. We're going to give you some practical tips. So we're not giving you theory. Theory is great, but I want to give you something that you can really take and begin implementing today. So the goal is to have at least 3 major takeaways that'll improve your business. First, I want to thank Megan and her team at Reverse Market Insight, because they're the ones who made today's session possible. So if you'd like to learn more, you can go ahead and call them today. That's at 888-297-3627. They're a true web-based loan origination platform for reverse mortgages, and it is fast. You can also email Megan at the email address shown on your screen, mlawler@baydocs.net. So again, we want to thank so much the good folks at Baydocs. So what are some of the secrets in remote sales? We're going to share what we've learned and what we've seen others do successfully today. But first of all, I want to introduce my good friend and also our presenter today. That's John McCue, and he is the Director of Client Relations for Reverse Market Insight. And his goal, his job really is to help clients to make sure that they're getting the precise services that they're supposed to, that are going to be most beneficial in them growing their business. And so he really gets to know you as a client. And if you want to learn more about their services, we're going to be talking about that a little bit more today. John is more than happy to help you. He's a native of Washington State. Actually, I know his hometown. I live not too far from there, but he presently lives in another state. And so he's gone a little bit further south. And in his free time, I know he's an avid outdoorsman as well. And of course, this guy on the right, that's me, Shannon. And so if you have any questions after today's session, be sure to let me know as well. I'm just going to pause here real quick. And there we go. So let's talk about the real keys to success today, and I want to keep this simple. Before we do, also, many of you know and have worked with Mike Floth. If you haven't, this is the gentleman you want to talk to regarding any of the services that we offer here at Reverse Focus, primarily our CRM, sales engine, web-based CRM, and our websites. So on to what we're going to talk about today. Preparation is everything, and I'm going to make the assumption, now you can use a different tool, that the means and mode of communication with you and the older homeowner would be Zoom. And I would really recommend that for its simplicity. And how simple, you may say? Well, in fact, my mother-in-law is able to do Zoom meetings with us. It looked like the Hollywood Squares, but we had everybody situated in their own little square, and we had a little Thanksgiving get together. And my mother-in-law, bless her soul, was able to get into it. So preparation is knowing what kind of platform you're going to use. And what I've found effective is you want to email Zoom instructions to the homeowner, because even for someone like me, who's, I would say I'm somewhat techie, my first time was a little off-putting. I was a little nervous. I didn't do everything right. So anything you can do to help them is a big improvement. And if you can, include a Zoom tutorial, a YouTube link. We learn both audioly and through audio and visual, and having that can really help them feel a little bit more comfortable. And when you send a calendar invitation, include their name. I really strongly recommend that. So when you do agree to a time for your initial Zoom meeting, include their name, because people love to hear and see one thing, and that is their own name. So be sure to include that, and an interesting title, something that's going to grab their attention. And I would also recommend that you send out an email the day before, just reconfirming the appointment and the time, and of course include the link for them to join you in the Zoom meeting.
Shannon, I just want to say something real quick.
So yeah, go ahead, John.
I used this slide when we were doing our preparation during Thanksgiving myself to get my mom set up on this, and then we ended up doing a birthday call for her. So we had like 12 people on a Zoom call and stuff. But I want to thank you for this, because I was like, oh, I should totally do that, because I need to get my mom on Zoom. So I actually used these to get my 75-year-old mother, using Zoom.
That's awesome. No, and it really helps. I wish somebody would have sent me a link, because I certainly could have used it. So preparation's everything. Emailing those instructions, there we go. And including a short tutorial is really helpful. We talked about including their name in the Zoom invitation. And then if you have enough information about that individual, go ahead and prepare at least a rough proposal, a quote, so you'll have some numbers to talk about. And with the Zoom meeting, you want to ensure that you don't lock them out, because if they get there a little early, they're just not going to see anything. So don't lock them out. What I mean by that is enable the ability, if possible, for them to join before the host. And that may depend on your account level. John, do you have any more information on that? You'd mentioned something a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so Zoom, in one of their most recent updates that they did, they didn't matter. It seemed like it didn't matter what you did. In the fact that like anybody who came and joined your meeting was going to be automatically put in a waiting room in which you had to allow them in. I think that in recent weeks I've been noticing that if you go into your Zoom meeting from your Zoom.us account and put to enable passcode, then as long as they're logging in from the link that you send, then it should automatically get them right in without you having to allow them into the room. Don't quote me on that. I'm still playing around with that myself, but that's what is supposed to work. And if they called in without that link, then they'll have to know what the passcode is. So you'll have to provide that passcode. But you can actually set that passcode if you want as well. So you can actually use your own link. So I use my work phone number. And then if I wanted to have some, random, password that I know or that might help them know, you can actually set those as well.
Thank you. I'm going to launch a quick poll, John, and for everyone, as Are you currently using remote sales software? So we're gonna see how many we have here. Look at these numbers, how the world has changed here. It's averaging around 70%, 70% saying yes, and about 30% saying no. Okay, I'm gonna leave it right there and share the results. So about 75% of you say you do use remote sales software. Now I'm gonna go to the next poll. And what remote sales tool are you using? So these are your choices: Zoom, Skype, Google Meet, or an other type of software. So when you're using, and I would say remote sales tools, not with your family, but the tool you're using to communicate with. Oh my goodness, I should have bought more stock, John. I should have bought more stock.
Is it 100%?
Oh, I might as well be. It's almost ivory soap. It's yeah, 95% are using Zoom. Well, thank you, everyone. One thing I do want to add is that you can, do some research ahead of time, and I think that's really key. And one way you can do that, don't be afraid to look this person up that you're going to be speaking with. I'm a big believer that the more intelligence you have, the more intel, the more you understand the borrower, maybe the type of neighborhood they live in. Use social media. When you look up on LinkedIn, though, unlike Facebook, which doesn't tell you who's looking at your profile or quote unquote stalking you, LinkedIn will. So you can go into a anonymous mode and just look them up to see if they have a LinkedIn profile. A great way for you to better understand maybe what kind of career they had, and that may help you better shape your presentation to them. Another is just being yourself, acting naturally. So practice a few sessions. You can just pretend like you're speaking to a group of people, record that thing, a Zoom meeting, and then come back and look at it, and then critique yourself or ask someone to give you some pointers for remote presentation. The other is to look at the camera, and this takes some practice, by the way, because it's easy I can go like here and look at a graphic, but I'm not looking at you. So I want to make that engagement, real personal engagement. That's what you want with the homeowner, because we're having to forego the kitchen table meeting and we want to have that personal connection. One of the benefits of using Zoom versus a phone, just merely a phone call. Go ahead, John. Did you say something?
Yeah, before you move on real quick, on the looking at the camera, one thing that I've found that has helped me is if you can set what you're seeing to just the speaker mode, so it's just whoever the speaker is showing up on there. And then I shrink it down and then I set that right below my camera so that I have to look at them, which happens to put me right at the camera, which is what I'm doing right now, in fact, to help me try and stay on track of looking at the camera. But that's one of the things that I've found that helps me keep my eye contact in that direction, because Zoom usually wants to put it off to the right or something like that if you're sharing your screen. So you can actually put it to where you're only seeing the other person on there, and then you can actually move that box underneath your right directly underneath your camera.
So that's called speaker mode, John?
Yeah.
Excellent.
So the Hollywood squares that you're talking about, that's the one we can see everybody. But then you can actually put it on speaker mode, which then would put, if you had a bunch of people like you were talking about, it puts everyone at the top, but it only enlarges the one person who's talking. But usually if you're just doing one-on-one with a client, it's just going to be you and them. And if you're sharing your screen, you'll have both of you on the right-hand side. And there's like a couple different icons. Like the first icon is just like one box. If you click on that first thing, then it gets rid of your picture, leaves their picture. You can then drag that underneath your camera.
Excellent. Well, thank you, folks. I told you you're going to get practical, real life advice here, so I appreciate that, John. One of the big advantages, and I don't know, maybe some of you have noticed this, but when people talk to you on the phone, it's easier for them to be, quite frankly, rude at times. There's not that personal accountability and connection, versus when you talk to someone on the street, you're going to show a little respect, unless you like getting hit. But the nice thing about Zoom is that they feel there's that social contract of, I see somebody, therefore I should probably be polite, and that can work in your favor as well. So if you feel a little nervous or uncertain about doing remote sales, this is playing to our advantage in some ways, especially for those of you that have been doing phone sales. Also, watch your body language and your posture. So, if my shoulders are down and I'm slumping, or I'm just leaning back and I look a little, too lazy to them, or I could even, you can come across as being a little smug if you, cock your head. Just little things like that make a huge difference in how you're perceived, because there's not much room for error when it comes to remote sales, just as there isn't in in-person meetings as well. And the sly eye, if you want to know what that is just, kind of doing this while you're looking at someone else. No one likes to look or be seen from the side of the eye.
Hey,
The other thing is lights,
one
camera,
more
and
quick
action.
thing.
Improve your lighting. I'm going to show you what I'm using here in a minute. And John, I think you're using a similar system. And so lighting is going to be key. You can improve your lighting immensely. And I'm going to tell you how inexpensive that really is. And so the other thing you want to do is elevate your laptop. So if your webcam is built into your laptop, like mine is, I'm using a MacBook Pro. It's fixed. It's into the, it's built into the screen. So you'll need to find a means to elevate your laptop so you're not looking down at the individual you're trying to meet with. So here's a couple options for lighting. One is the Lume Cube. This runs about $49. You can check the price online. So you can put it on a tripod, or you can clip it on like you're seeing this lady do right here. So it does give an incredible improvement. What I'm using today is a light ring. So if you have a webcam that you can adjust, you would actually put it on the inside of that light ring behind it a little bit. And then you can adjust the color temperature. I would say almost all of them do that, and the intensity of the color. So today I'm using a warm natural tint to the light, or I could go with a harsh, white fluorescent look, or kind of a blue tinge as well, and adjust the intensity. Now, the light that I have doesn't look quite like this. It's a little bit of a smaller ring, but it's only $15. $15, folks, to get set up. Really inexpensive. And then this tip, speaking of Zoom, when it comes to light, if you're still having issues, and John, you gave me this excellent tip. You have the ability, if you've upgraded to the latest version of Zoom, to adjust for low light settings. So Zoom actually has made allowances for maybe less than ideal lighting situations. John, have you used that before, and to what success?
Yeah, what's funny is I was just getting a new computer set up the other day, and I was just curious what it would do in a relatively dark living room that I was in. I mean, I just had my normal, it was at nighttime and everything. It actually brightens it up really, really well. So if you don't have great lighting and you haven't upgraded to the latest version of Zoom, upgrade to the latest version and put that on. It really helps a lot.
It's a huge help. And so, it's great. Things have just improved so much when it comes to also our video cameras being able to compensate for low lighting. And the other thing I want to say is, while you're trying to make a good impression on these remote meetings that you're holding, you don't want to fall into the trap of trying to make it like virtual dating, right? So this isn't a please, would you like me type video. You are the professional. You're the one there to train them. Doesn't mean you have to be conceited or arrogant, but it means that you want to command and take control of the meeting. Allow them to talk, do your fact finding, obviously practice active listening, but don't turn this into something where you're going to say, try to win them over just to like you. You're somewhere between a video educator, I like to say, and an entertainer, because the more engaging you are with these individuals imagine that they're watching a TV show, except you're the host of the TV show. And so, practice inflections on your voice, practice nuances in your voice, whether you're going to be loud or how expressive you're going to be. The other thing that I like to do, and I'm not Italian, but I should be, I like to gesticulate a lot, especially in the context of a remote sales meeting on Zoom, because what does movement do? It draws your eye to the screen because something's happening, and it's just a guy waving his hands. So the other thing as salespeople, we tend to have a right brain dominant personality, so we're very creative, but also you don't want to leave this whole thing to chance. So have a predetermined sales path that you're going to follow on each and every one of these calls, and then refine it. Now, you may have one that works great already. Look at it again, though, because remote sales is a different animal altogether. Again, I just want to thank the good folks at Baydocs. They have done an amazing job. Again, web-based, super fast. I mean, we're talking, you don't even have to upgrade. It's great stuff. Megan Lawler, if you want a demo, just write down her email if you would today, and then their phone number you can call as well. She's very responsive, and they'd be more than happy to give you a tour of the Baydocs Express. They're doing amazing things. So we also have their banner, by the way. You'll see it on the video replay. So if you have more questions, be sure to reach out to them. We're very appreciative. So setting the stage, you want to have that light in front of you. You also can record your Zoom sessions. You want to be careful about that for legal and privacy reasons. But if there's a particular need to, or you want to just for the sake of practicing, you can get their permission, but be sure to check with your compliance department first. So if you're going to record, be really sure that you have the ability to legally do so with their permission. Background noise and microphone. Now, I would suggest if you're going to be doing regular Zoom meetings, and many of you watching have been, and some of you maybe are just getting started, is invest in a good microphone. So you're going to hear me a little differently because I've turned it away. This here is a Yeti. Blue Microphones makes these. They do a great job. In fact, my good friend in New York City, we were talking, he's been really just blowing up his Zoom meeting business, and he got the same thing. He loves it as well. So these are, I don't get paid from these people, but these make great microphones. Plus, they don't look too shabby when they're seen on camera, but have a really good microphone. And this has the ability to adjust the pattern, which means the field that you can't see that's going to pick up the sound is focused just on me. So it's not going to pick up other noises as well. And you can mirror your customer with Zoom background. So let's say you find somebody who's really into mountains, right? You did some social media searching on this homeowner beforehand. Maybe you just put a mountain behind you, because you can do virtual backgrounds in Zoom. We're not going to go into how to do that today, but you certainly can. And how to dress depends on your client. I certainly wouldn't suggest wearing a tie, but you can do business casual. You can wear a sports jacket like I am today, but use your best judgment, but don't be in a frumpy collarless shirt at a minimum. So what is the first sale? Well, the first sale, I believe, is always this, because you're not going to close on the first meeting, very rarely. The first sale is to get the second appointment. If you write anything down, that is the first sale you want to close in your virtual Zoom meeting, is to get another appointment with them. Excuse me, folks, allergies. So what is it that you want them to do? That is to set another appointment with you. And the two questions I always want to ask in a virtual meeting are this. First is, Mr. Smith, thank you so much for joining me today, and your video working good? Great. So we're going to need about 45 minutes. Just want to make sure that still works for you. You want to get that commitment from them, right? So you're just telling them, hey, I want to make sure you got the time. You don't want them getting up and saying, oh gosh, I got to go in 15 minutes. I forgot I got to pick my wife up. They can manage a schedule, but sometimes people forget things. So make sure the first question you ask is, hey, are you good for about 45 minutes? I'll make it worth every minute of your time, but I just want to double check. And the second question you want to ask is very pointed, and it works quite well. And this is a great insight from Tom Donahue. And it's this: why are we here today? So Mr. Smith, why are we here today? What brought you here? And then just shut up and listen. So, what brought you here today? Why are you looking into this? And let them tell you, because the more you let them talk, the more they reveal about themselves, the more they're likely to close themselves. And then lastly is in those subsequent meetings, are you asking for the sale? A lot of salespeople, the vast majority, never ask for the sale, believe it or not. So make sure, I hope every one of you are, hopefully you are, asking for the close, for the sale, for the commitment. That is, I'm going to send you an application packet. So how are you going to engage when it comes to paperwork? Are you going to send that digitally? Are you going to email it to them? And you have the ability to do an e-signing. Make sure you have all of those building blocks in place beforehand. And again, mirroring them with a Zoom background. So let's talk about the creation of a deck. Don't bore them with a bunch of small figures they can't see. Keep it simple. Let the graphics on the screen basically send the message that you're trying to create, or even better, the emotion that you want them to feel. But have a narrative. Again, we talked earlier about having a structured sales process, a path, not just some random, oh, hey, by the way, that doesn't work so well. A structured sales process will increase your closing ratios. Keep them visually engaged, especially on your video messages. And we'll talk about software you can use to create a short video message, and practice good privacy practices when it comes to that. So one of the biggest challenges that you're going to face, there's no way around it, is major skepticism about the reverse mortgage. There's a lot of misinformation, and quite honestly, it's a counterintuitive product. So skepticism is the biggest thing we face. And to really help us talk about the latest tool, which is just amazing, and is John McCue, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he and his team at Reverse Market Insight have been up to. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, thanks for that, Shannon. So, I don't even originate loans, and yet, especially when we had times of being able to get together with people, you're going to a social gathering or something like that, and someone says, well, what do you do? And I tell them that I'm in the reverse mortgage industry, and you get the eye roll. I get the eye roll a lot. Granted, I'm usually with a lot of middle-aged people, and it's made me realize that a lot of people are skeptical of this program, to Shannon's point, but that doesn't mean that they don't like the program. It just simply means that generally what I find is they don't understand the program. There's a lot of misconceptions out there. There's a lot of, doesn't the bank own the house? Oh, you guys take, elderly folks' house. Just a lot of misperceptions. And so what I find is there's just a lot of people who are very skeptical of this program. Again, that doesn't mean that they are, down on the program or whatever the case might be. But what I find is you generally have three people. One is the people who are really excited about the program. I would say that that's, in general, first impressions. Not usually, especially if you're talking to like realtors and financial planners, or first time call with a client. They might not be very, excited right off the bat if you're the first person they've ever talked to about a reverse mortgage. Second are the people like, I don't know, I have no idea. I've never, thought about it, never looked into it. And then lastly, you get the people that we've been talking about, the skeptics, the people who just have bad information generally. So, what is kind of that one question that we should ask? I mean, in my opinion, and it's, what are your feelings about a reverse mortgage, right? I mean, often we just jump right into the benefits of it, and, before we ever conquer that potential skepticism. So how can we get over that? How can we, for those skeptics, how can we help them start listening to you and putting our conversation in a better light before we ever really get into the benefits of it? First, just asking, what do you think about a reverse mortgage? What are your thoughts? And going from there. And so with the skeptics, we've been promoting something called social proof. And so with social proof, that just means that we're just trying to help those people understand how popular this program already is, right? And so if it's already popular, and we can prove that it's already popular, and not just popular as a overall program, but actually popular in their neighborhood, that their neighbors are utilizing this, right? I mean, nobody wants to be the first one to the party, but they don't mind being fashionably late. So how can we prove to them that they're late, that it's time to get dressed, it's time to come to the party, everyone's having fun, come on in, right? So we, have actually created something called our Heck of Neighborhood widget. If you want to go to the next slide there, Shannon. So we've actually created our Heck of Neighborhood widget. This is something that lives right on your website. Without utilizing it as an actual sales tool, an active sales tool, it lives there kind of passively. It gets people when they come to your site, it gets them to engage with your site. How many people Google, come look at a site real quick, bounce off, go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. This gets them to stop. It gets them to engage with you, and then we provide the social proof, and then we give them an easy way of going into the lead funnel. All right, Shannon, let me jump over to show you guys.
Let me show you the presenter real quick. So if you want to demonstrate that.
Yes.
Excellent. So while John is loading that up, this is probably one of the biggest tech revolutions I've seen, at least when it comes to business to consumer sales online. And so what John's going to show today, I think, is absolutely fantastic, and really we've implemented it here at Reverse Focus on our websites. So John's going to go ahead and show us just exactly how that works and how that would appear on your site.
All right, you can see my page. Okay, Shannon, right?
Roger that.
Okay. So yeah, so to Shannon's point, we've actually put one of these widgets on their My Loan Officer demo website. So if you don't currently have a reverse mortgage website, I highly recommend their sites. They're completely compliant, customizable, and basically plug and play. And our widget actually plug and plays with it. So what this looks like, let me go ahead and zoom in here on this. It doesn't look so great when it's zoomed in this much, but it's not meant to be. But basically, if someone comes to your site and says, wondering how many of your neighbors have a reverse mortgage. Well, yeah, I do. I mean, I want to know what it is and how it can benefit me, but like, do people really use these programs, right? And so a person can enter in a zip code, and then they can hit find out. And this is running an API back to our dashboard, which I'll show you in just a quick second. And it's pulling out some data, right? So now they've just enacted, you're now providing them some very valuable data to show them that this is actually a really popular program, but it's actually really popular in their neighborhood. So government records show that 2,452 of your neighbors currently have a government insured reverse mortgage. 329 of them have taken one out in just the last 12 months. I mean, this is just within a 10-mile radius. So you can imagine 20, 30, 50 miles, right? I mean, that's a lot of people. And 9 times out of 10, when I do this demonstration with with my clients who are reverse professionals, people who are brand new to the reverse industry or anything like that, they're usually blown away. I mean, I was just doing this for a client the other day down here in the San Antonio area, and they were amazed at how many loans there actually were around them. They didn't think that there was that many. And these are people who've been doing it a long time. So, so this really gets them to get engaged with it. But we can actually go deeper. So you can actually add on a interactive map if you want to. This is an add-on that you can do. It doesn't cost anything extra if you want to show them this. And they can actually go in there and start looking at this at zip code levels. So they can see exactly what's happening in a zip code. And then if they really like this, and they've looked at the rest of your site and they're like, you know what? Yeah, that's interesting. I had no idea so many people were doing it. I would like some more information. Well, they can click this little call to action button right here. It sends them right into your current lead funnel that you're using on your website right now. So it's not a new lead funnel or anything. We'll just use whatever URL that you're using, and they go right in. The clients I have who have this right now, one of them in particular I was speaking with recently said that since they've had this on their site, seems like those people who are coming through that funnel now are instead of looking for information, are pretty much ready to buy is what they said. Because this is really helping take that edge off. This is really helping them understand that, okay, maybe I'm not doing the wrong thing, right? I didn't know there's so many people. But that same client, and I've been kind of promoting this ever since I spoke with him, is also using this on their Zoom calls. When you start talking to somebody, and you're doing these live Zoom calls, pulling up your website. I mean, you want to promote your website anyways. You want to show them where it is. So if they want to come check it out, they can. But then they're using this in the same way, putting in that client's zip code, showing them what's happening around them, letting them know that it's a really popular product. And let me tell you why so many of your neighbors are using a reverse mortgage, right? If you, and I know Shannon's probably gonna go in this a little bit later, but people use things like Loom or some other video recording service that you can email to people. So if you're allowed to do that and you are doing that, can use this in those types of recordings as well. So it's a really cool tool. And like I said, this is actually running an API based off of our dashboard system, which is another, another service that we offer. So if you want to really dig deeper into what's happening around you, so you're trying to figure out, your marketing plans. If you want to do a deep dive for data, if you're trying to present to financial planners, we were just had our national NERMLA conference a few weeks ago. The financial planner was on there, and they were saying the thing that really got them were, people with a lot of analytics, people who had the information. And I've actually had some clients who have done presentations for financial planners and were invited back the next year. And when they inquired why, is because they said, what's happening. You have a foot, you just have the knowledge of what's happening in your neighborhood, right? So we can look at what's happening at state levels. We can look at things from county levels. We can easily resort any of this data. We can then drop down into city levels. We can go all the way down into zip code levels. I mean, think about it. I'm giving you zip code level information. If any of you guys are doing mail, any kind of SEO targeting online, or anything else like that, I can tell you exactly where you should be putting that money, right? So, now we're not just, wasting money. We're actually, putting in exactly where and why and we know why. Here's every single zip code for the state of California for the last 3 months. I mean, I can change any of this, and we can look at custom timeframes and look at the last 12 months. So, I mean, we can give you a lot of data within this, and I can teach you how to use it for marketing, how to use it for sales. The scorecard tool is a great sales one. This is actually where we kind of built the widget from. Basically, I'm putting in a zip code and I'm putting in a radius, same zip code as I just ran a second ago. But it comes up with more information for you from a sales perspective. You can actually see who's doing business in a single zip code. If you want to see who's doing business in a single zip code, I mean, if you want to see who your competition is, lots of cool stuff. So, between this and the widget, we can certainly give you a lot of great tools to increase, how people perceive you. You already are the experts in this field. This just puts you over the top. These are the type of people that professionals especially want to work with. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Shannon.
Thank you. So I wanted just to put a quick poll up, and this is going to be to get a better feel of how many of you have a tool similar to this. Do you have the means to know how many people have done a reverse mortgage in your area? Yes or no? Anonymous, by the way. So yes, no. So interesting results. Good. No, I like that. This tool, by the way, I wish I would have had years ago. It really would have helped me, back in 2002 when I first entered the business, conduct my business more effectively. And so I'm going to share those results right now. So 20% of you have some means to do that, and 80% don't. So that is interesting and not surprising at the same time. So I want to invite you, those of you watching right now, contact John. This is his contact information. You have his email if you want to write that down. We'll also have this in the video replay. And his phone number, 682-651-5632. So definitely reach out to John. And by the way, if you're having questions as we go through this, be sure to type those in so you don't forget. We're going to get to those in just a moment. So are people going to find you online, or are you playing, the social distancing hide and seek champion of the world Bigfoot game? Because if they don't find you online, they're going to move on to someone else most likely. And if you've attended one of our previous webinars, I love telling the story about one of my friends whose mom was going to get window coverings for every window in the house. And so these were going to be nice wooden blinds, a substantial investment. And she did some research, and then she found another guy. And so when she was having lunch with her son, she goes, yeah, this is the guy I'm going to choose. And he goes, okay. He gets on his phone and starts typing, and he goes, Mom, this guy doesn't even have a website. You're not using him. So that credibility really does begin online. And so with our websites, and I know John just briefly demonstrated it, but I just want to show you again what your website with reverse focus can really do for you. So if you don't have one of these, they can go, this is all customizable, so you can change the color hue. You can have several images that slide through here with different messaging and different call to actions. You can embed your own video here, or we have one that can be used, non-branded, so it'll work for your website really well, explains the reverse mortgage. And so the get a quote button is great. We call this our lead funnel because people like to give their information in little bites. So I'm going to go ahead and just put in zip code, and it's like, oh, it's like a game. Okay, what's my address, Then I go next step. What's the age? Next step. And so you kind of want to play along, so they can adjust their home value and put their mortgage balance owing. Then they put their first and last name. Now, why are they going to give you that first and last name instead of just a static form on their page? Because they've already done the yes, yes, yes game. We have them in a series of yeses of filling out the information. That's why these lead funnels are so effective. And then this information will be emailed to you. So that's just part of it. Plus, we have a whole section helping them understand what the reverse mortgage is. I mean, we go into a lot of details. Why do we do that? Because if you don't have the details on your website, they're going to go to someone else that has the information. People are researching the reverse mortgage, so you want to have that available for them, and those tools are super effective. And then you also have a loan calculator. Yes, they can run a quick quote here as well, and then they can get an idea of what their home value and available loan proceeds might be. So again, that's really a great way to go. If you're interested in getting these a website presence, you don't have one, or maybe you want to improve your presence, Mike is a guy to talk to, Mike at Reverse Focus, and you can see his phone number here on the screen. So let's talk about some of the secrets for success when you are doing remote sales, because it looks like we're going to be doing remote sales probably for the majority of 2021. Can you believe that? March 16th, I think it was, March 16th, 2020 is when 15 days to flatten the curve began. And I think now we're probably on day 280 days later. Our country and the globe, nationally, people are internationally are wrestling. How do I cope with the coronavirus? How do I continue to do business? So remote sales is going to continue well into 2021. But in the effectiveness game, when it comes to your communication, make it all about them. So what are their goals? So ask them just point blank, what is it you would like to accomplish if you had a reverse mortgage? What would you like to see done? They have an idea, but let them say it, because if you say it, they're going to doubt you. But if they say it, it's true. So let them say how they could see themselves using it. What are their goals? And that's a great way to get that conversation started. What would make this meeting a success? This is a really important question. I think that's very rarely ever asked, whether it's in person or in a remote sales environment. And I think it's super effective because it lets everybody feel like they're a winner. So what would make this meeting a success for you, Mr. Smith? Well, I think I'd like to get an idea of what I may qualify for and what the process might be. And you can say, great, we'll get those two things accomplished today. How much research have they done? That's another question you should be asking. So, how much do you know about the reverse mortgage? Have you really looked into this just recently or over some period of time? Let them share with you their level of knowledge and experience based on their research. And what's most important, this is one particular type of loan, but used for a myriad of different applications and unique financial needs. So is it cash flow, or is it merely having access to a line of credit that's not taken away if home values go down? What is it that they're really looking for? So these are primary questions. This will be on the replay, but if you want to write them down, ask them what their goals are. What would make the meeting a success? How much research have they done? What's the most important thing for them that they're looking to accomplish? Is it cash flow? Is it having some flexibility in their financial life? And then be prepared to run a live what if scenario before and after a reverse mortgage. So let me explain what that is. A before and after, you can do this on a spreadsheet. You can get some general idea of their sources of income, their overall expenses, and then show how a reverse mortgage, what would your financial life look like if we retire your mortgage payment, your principal and interest? What would your life look like if we got rid of those high interest rate credit cards that you're spending $500 a month on just to make, a little bit more than the minimum payment? What would your life look like? How would you feel 6 months from now, waking up in the morning, drinking your coffee, and you realize you're not saddled with these bills. Well, let me show you, and you can show them live on your screen by having a simple spreadsheet where you can give a cash flow analysis of before and after. Super powerful tool to be using. Don't bore them. So screen sharing is going to limit, give you a lot of different options. So have your deck prepared, but if you need to show them something else, or even if you need to go to a particular article, you can do that as well. Zoom. So John, thank you. You did what I love it when people do this, and that is if they're showing a web page, zoom into the certain portion of it. Otherwise, it may appear as just a postage stamp sized image. Use simple and clear images. We talked about that earlier, and make it about them. So to wrap it up, how are you going to deal with your materials, your deliverables? Are you going to be sending them a FedEx package with a proposal or an application? Are you going to be doing e-delivery and e-signatures? Loom video, and I don't know how many of you have used Loom, but it's a very powerful tool. It allows you to use your webcam and your screen. You can screencast, and you have a little inset of you, a live video that you can record, and you can walk them through the process. If you're going to be sending proposals, if you write something else down, one of your 3 takeaways, this could be one of them. Do not ever just simply mail a PDF of a reverse mortgage proposal. You're going to most likely overwhelm that person. But instead, what you want to do is to create the PDF of the proposal and then go through that in a Loom video where you're recording that PDF and you're going through the pages and your little head's down here talking on the screen. So there's some personal interaction. Explain what each part means in simple, concise terms. If you do that and you send a Loom video instead with the attached PDF, your sales will increase substantially versus just sending a confusing document.
The other nice thing
also, because our most precious resource on this earth is our time. And so you always want to make sure you thank them and confirm. What's the first sale? Your next meeting. Confirm your next meeting for them and send them a Calendly link. So if they're not sure what their schedule is going to look like, you can create a Calendly account. It will synchronize with your Google Calendar, and it will only offer available times in that particular day or week, whatever it might be. Then they can pick a time and arrange to meet with you. And some of those services actually allow you to automatically create a Zoom meeting as well. So whatever you do after your first meeting, don't let it set too long. And I suggest 24 to 48 hours. John, do you have anything to add to that before we get into Q&A?
Yeah, with the Loom video, I was going to say that it also has the marking up tools. So you can circle things and highlight things, and it kind of just then disappears. So it's a pretty cool. I use it for with my clients as well, but it's pretty cool because it does have those marking up tools. So if you want to particularly show something on there, you can mark it up, and then it'll just disappear. But it's there while you want to show it. So kind of a nice additional feature.
Excellent. As I'm going to go just to our Q&A section to see questions that are here today. Here's a poll if you guys want to go ahead and let us know if you have a professional website. Some are asking about a copy of the deck and info. We're going to have a video replay of today's presentation. I can include a PDF, a link to the PDF. That's for Gilberto, so no problem, we got you. Interested, you're recommending Zoom, but the presentation is GoToMeeting, yes. And the reason we're doing that today is, Mark, a good point, is that we are able to have more effective registration, which is really important for us, and be able to track our attendance better. Whereas, so if you're going to do a group type presentation, and let's say you're presenting to realtors or developers, Mark, what you'd want to do is perhaps use GoToMeeting instead, or GoToWebinar. And that way you have the means of capturing contact information, being able to effectively communicate with people with reminders. All that's automated as part of that. Whereas in a one-on-one group, I'm going to go towards Zoom because it's much easier, not only for the consumer to use, but there's just less heavy lifting on my part as the originator.
Hey, Shannon.
Yes.
They do have a Zoom webinar as well. That's like what Nirmal's been using and things.
Right.
So if people are already kind of in that Zoom arena, you can upgrade your subscription and look into the Zoom webinar
Yep.
and do the comparisons between, what is going to work best for your needs.
No, a good point. And a lot of the originators today, everything I've shown you so far, you can do on a free account. But if you do upgrade, John is absolutely correct. They do have an option for doing that. I would say definitely take it for a trial run just to be safe. The other is, I'm going to go ahead and close this poll and share the results, by the way. Here we go. So 70% of you do have presently a professional website presence. I'm very relieved to hear that. And I'm just going to switch here to the next. The other question is, we're going to be looking at your sales style. So how many of you are strictly selling by phone? How many of you are strictly selling by Zoom meetings or other remote? So I'm assuming none of you are meeting at home, at the homeowners, but you would hope so. The other question I have is here, I wonder who that was. Yeah, that's funny. All right, what is the cost of this program where the loans have been done? So, John, do you want to answer that, how they can find out what the subscription is on this particular dashboard program?
Yeah, the best thing is to contact me because, kind of in the intro that Shannon did for me, I generally go through each, with each client, kind of what's the best solution for them. But I can tell you what the retail price is, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the price that you would qualify for. So again, we should really have a conversation to figure out if there's something better or something else that would work best for you. But as far as our dashboard is concerned, our dashboard is $200 per month. It's a 30-day notice of cancellation, so there's no long-term contracts. People can enter into a 12-month agreement with us, and they can prepay, which basically gets you 2 months for free. Plus, with the dashboard, you get a widget. We throw in one widget for every state that you subscribe to. So if you are a broker, for instance, and have several loan officers and you're in several states, I do have package deals for the states. So that's why I said we should talk if you're in more than one state. But we also throw in one widget per state. The widgets alone by themselves are $50 per month. And then we charge 20 cents per unique zip code every month. So if you use the same zip code over and over, you only get charged for one time, but for every unique zip code, it's 20 cents per month for those. So that's the price. Like I said, with the dashboard, you get the widget included at no additional cost. And there's no API. So with the dashboard, we don't charge per zip code either.
Excellent. Looking at these poll results is quite interesting. Only 15%, according to this poll, are doing strictly selling by internet, and 23% are doing it by phone, and then some are doing a mix. So I guess there's ways that's being accomplished in a safe manner. I also want to say, please thank our sponsor, Baydocs. You can do that by clicking on the, we're going to have their banner in the email, but you can also call them. The phone number displayed on your screen in the email. And someone asked about Mike Floth. This is how you contact him. So if you have a website, maybe you're not happy with it, or you just don't simply have one at all, this is the man you want to talk to. And Mike does an excellent job setting those up. And here's John's information. So I'm going to go back to the Q&A, John, real quick, and see what else we had. We had some questions about your widget. So someone asked about Mike's contact information. And does that widget pinpoint the name, address, and a particular zip code of who took out? That's a great question, by the way. So what's the privacy of that widget? Can I click on someone's home or a particular area and see who did it?
No, it's a very high overview. So it's just simply you're putting in the zip code. It's then running a 10-mile radius. We can customize the radius up to 35 miles. So if you wanted, so I have some clients who are more rural who want a larger radius, for instance. So if you wanted a 35-mile radius because you happen to be in a rural county, maybe that might make sense to you, but it's always going to be whatever radius you run, and it's just centered around that. Without, I mean, so basically, we're just taking the number of age-eligible households that are in that county, which we get, and then we multiply that times the penetration percentage, which just says, okay, of the number of 62 plus households that currently own a home, what percentage of those households right now have a reverse mortgage? So that's how we're pulling these numbers. We're looking at how many households there are. We're looking at how many loans have been done. We're using, and by the way, this is HUD endorsement data that we're pulling. So it's not like individual actual loan officers. It's public information that's out there that we're pulling into this system. So we're not invading anyone's privacy. There's no names, there's no addresses, there's nothing like that. I know a couple of years ago there was stuff going out saying, for instance, voting. I've gotten things in the past with voting, like, hey, here's your voting record. Like, oh, that's very intrusive, right? It's nothing like that. However, I do have someone right now who's doing a mailer doing something similar, but it's just something similar to the widget. Hey, did you know that in your zip code or in your community, these many people have taken out a reverse mortgage, and that's kind of their message. But again, it's not, we're not doing any kind of privacy issues or anything, because we're not actually looking at individual homeowners. It's all HUD endorsement data.
Thank you, John. The other thing is, we had a question about what is the name of this product. Can you tell us the name of the product? You mentioned it earlier.
The Heckham Neighborhood Widget.
Heckham Neighborhood Widget. And then Scott asked, how do you zoom in on a page? So you're running a PC today, right? I
am, and so I actually just got a new Logitech mouse, and I have to get what the program is. I can actually tell you real quick. So if you have a Logitech mouse, you can download Logitech's mouse and keyboard settings software, and you can actually change functionality. So if you have like one of the little spinner wheels that actually clicks, you can, on mine, I can actually change it to be able to zoom in and out. So you click down once, and then you use the wheel to zoom in and out, and then you click again, and it stops the zoom, and then you can go do whatever. So that's how I did it so fast, because I wanted to be able to do it quickly for this.
That's excellent. And on Mac, it's just Command plus or minus to zoom in or to zoom out. And then others are asking, what is, so we talked about cost, and we also had a question about the widget itself. So that can be embedded on any site, you said, John, right?
Yeah, any site. It's just it's a line of script. So I actually create those widgets. We customize them to your site, so we can put your picture, your name. We color match your website. We can change the wording. I just got done doing one for a gentleman who wanted the wording completely different, which is completely fine, because we make it very customizable like that. And then once it's created, and like I said, you can add the map, take the map off. You can change the radius of your search. And then once I create it, I just send you the script. Either you, if you're managing your site, or if you have somebody like people who have a my loan officer site with reverse focus, I just send them off to Shannon or Mike, and they update your site for you. So if you have someone managing your site, it just would get sent off to them. They'll take that script, they'll add it in. It's just one line of code. It's very easy to add on.
So someone said you look darker than I do. I just turned up my intensity a little bit. I find that the lower the light is, the better I look. So a little dimmer. So you're using, is this a natural light you're using, John?
It is, yeah. I have it's this weird floor lamp thing that I found on Amazon. It's similar to your ring thing though, because I have the different colors, so I can do like the 3 different shades of color. So this is kind of more of a natural light. I can increase the intensity and things like that. But it actually usually stands on my floor, but I'm actually on my standing desk right now. So I actually have this on my desk, like over me at the moment. So
excellent. I just want to also mention, as we get ready to wrap up, we want to thank Baydocs for being the exclusive sponsor of today's webinar series. They made this possible. Again, the best way you can thank them is to try out their lightning fast web-based LOS. So no software to install, no upgrades, no clunkiness. It just rips really fast. And Megan and her team would be happy to help you. So their contact information's there. We'll also have it in the follow-up emails. Be sure to look for that. And John is who to talk to about the widget. And Russell, you had asked about the Loom tool. That can be downloaded, and it can actually be used even as a Google widget where it's embedded. But the Loom tool can be used on PC or Mac and allows you to do the recording. You create a free account, and then you have a link you can send of that Loom video you recorded of the screencast and you on the camera. Or you can even send them, they have a great tool where it shows a little animated GIF loop of you or whatever's going on the screen. And then they see that in their email, very engaging as well. If you don't have a professional website presence, Mike Floth is also the man you want to talk to. Now, some of you didn't get your questions answered, and I apologize for that, but we want to try to stick to our time limit as much as we can. If you have a question about the websites, please contact Mike Floth. If you have a question about the dashboard, then you want to reach out to John, who has presented their amazing neighborhood widget tool. And we have a demonstration of that at demo.myloanofficer.us. I'll say that one more time, demo, D-E-M-O, .myloanofficer, all one word, .us. And we presently have a demo there. And if you have any other questions about today's webinar, and that would be, could be anything about how you get started with your own CRM, or even questions about the website, there's my contact information, and I'd be happy to answer those as well. Don't forget, we're going to be sending you a link to download or to view the replay of today's session. So watch your inbox. We'll get it to you by the end of business today, I promise. Well, yes, even on the East Coast, we should have it done by then. And John, any final comments before we wrap up with our team of originators?
No, I would just like to thank everyone for taking an hour out of your day to come join us. I know 2020 has been a challenging time for everyone. For those of you in the reverse industry, we've seen a great uptick in our volumes. I think 2021 is going to have even, we're going to see that continue and increase through 2021. So I think 2021 is going to be a great year. Hopefully things will start getting back to some normalcy throughout the year here. But I have high hopes for 2021. So just want to wish everyone happy holidays, and hope everyone stays safe.
Well, thank you. And you remember, folks, when it comes to remote sales, the team here at Reverse Focus, the team at Reverse Market Insight, and Baydocs, we're all here to help. Learn about how to leverage these tools. We can help you become experts in using these particular assets, both in your live presentations and even afterwards as well in email. So thank you again so much for joining us. Have a great week. We appreciate you spending your time here with us today. Don't forget, you have just about 9 more days to shop for Christmas. All right, have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.